First, I denounce unequivocally the attacks by Hamas on 10/7, which should be noted occurred during an official ceasefire. These attacks were heinous, targeting non-combatants purposefully in the most gruesome way. Beyond that, I don't believe our jurisdiction, the city of Los Altos, has a role to play in international affairs. And I have little else to say in my official capacity regarding the policies of Israel or any other nation. We did not take a position when Russia invaded the Ukraine or when the Syrian government used chemical weapons repeatedly against civilians. I do have something to say about what goes on in our community. Many of our Jewish residents have relatives or friends who have been killed or who remain hostages. And yet our Jewish community is dealing not only with this trauma, they are confronting hate and vile anti-Semitism here in our community. Silence is violence. Too much of the world stood idly by and watched the pogroms and then the Holocaust without standing up and defending our Jewish brothers and sisters. Not here, not now, and not on my watch. I will say something. Jews are approximately 2.4% of the American population. But they are victims of 55% of the religiously motivated hate crimes. This is for the year 2022. These are FBI statistics. The incidence of these events, of these crimes, has increased since then, as we've heard from members of our community tonight. We've heard it both in the data they have reported and in the anecdotes, the personal stories and narratives. I'm reminded of the rationale for the phrase Black Lives Matter. The calls to denounce Islamophobia also remind me of the refrain in response to Black Lives Matter, that all lives matter. To put it another way, if your house was on fire, how would you feel if the fire department started hosing down every other house on the block and told you all homes matter? For this reason, I do not support a broadly applied statement opposing hate. It diminishes the real threats felt by our Jewish neighbors. For those who would say Los Altos hasn't taken a stand on other incidents, I beg to differ. We don't have to go back any further than Resolution 2020-18, which has already been referenced tonight. It was a resolution of the city of Los Altos denouncing xenophobia and anti-Asian sentiment. And that was because our residents were experiencing that. I support a similar resolution denouncing anti-Semitism in Los Altos. I want our Jewish kids to know that their public leaders will not stand by silently. That instead we stand with them and that we will protect them. And they should not only be safe in Los Altos, but they should feel safe. Lastly, my support for our Jewish neighbors should not be conflated with a lack of empathy for any other group's suffering. We can hold two truths simultaneously. We can defend our Jewish brothers and sisters, and we can advocate for peaceful coexistence and the protection of all innocent life here and everywhere around the world. Thank you.
So I did acknowledge that we are condemning Hamas. We all agree on that, right? Condemning violence and any act of hate and terrorism.
We don't all agree on that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's the clarification that.
Well, that's what I heard from the
was looking
public,
for.
but, okay.
Can I clarify my own position then?
Okay, why don't you clarify your own?
Personally, I condemn all violence. Officially, it's whataboutism. If you say that torturing parents in front of their children or killing children in front of their parents is the same as every other type of violence, then you are condoning terrorism. And I can't do that. I don't think that we can create a resolution that is going to satisfy everybody. And trying to satisfy everybody is the easy way out. The heroic way out is to speak from your values, and sometimes you're going to find yourself at odds with others. And I will say that I will sit down with anybody who wants to talk to me, no matter what position they're coming from. They can be hostile to me, and I will sit down with them and I will hear them out.
Okay, I think
But
we
I
gotta go
won't
back.
support a resolution that doesn't distinguish the heinous nature of what has occurred. And more so, I want to point out that the Jews have a unique history, okay? We all know about the Holocaust, although sadly there are still those who would deny it. But there are also the pogroms. There is a history of more than a millennia of people trying to eliminate Jews from the face of the earth. And Hamas still has this as their raison d'etre. And so when I hear stories of kids who come home and say, I'm afraid to wear a t-shirt that identifies me, those kids are afraid in a different way. I can't walk a mile in your shoes, but I recognize that the violence against Jews and the threat of violence against Jews in our community is not the same as threats of violence against me or threats of violence against other marginalized groups.
I think, can I go back?
Yes.